Hi, I'm Jeff Bates. I'm in materials science and engineering. And I just wanted to share two different things that I've been doing lately in my classes to kind of adapt to the students. They solve two different problems. So the first problem I wanted to share is that over the last few years, I've noticed a fair bit of anxiety, I guess increased anxiety in the students. I teach a lab class, so materials processing lab, MSE 3010. And one of the things I've noticed is that not only have student lab reports become worse, but they have actually stopped turning them in altogether. So they'll attend class, they'll do all of the labs, they'll be there, they analyze their data, but when it comes to actually writing the labs, like the lab reports, they really haven't been doing very well. So I've been, trying to revamp my teaching so I can kind of address some of this stuff, but I finally landed on something that I think works this time around. So I just wanted to share one of the things that I developed. So I'm going to share my screen. Um, if I can find it. Let's do this. Okay. So this is the other problem I was going to share, but I'll do that in a second. Um, so if I go to MSE 3010. So, one of the things that I noticed is that the students have had a hard time with writing. So I've always front loaded my class with how do you write a lab report. So my class, I expect that they have um, that they write, a scientific research journal article. And so I have them use the author instruction preparation guidelines in the Journal of the American Ceramic Society. Um, anyway, so abstract authors, so title, authors, abstract, keywords. I've even added highlights into their introduction. I'm just trying to give them as many points as possible, and make each section worth, representative, but it feels like if there's more sections and they're worth less, they feel lower stakes. But anyway, so what I've done is, first of all, I run three lab projects simultaneously for 4 weeks each. So the first 12 weeks are these three different labs that they kind of cycle through. So I discovered that when I would front load the whole class and talk about all of the labs on the first day, students that wouldn't be doing it for 9 weeks were still having to take notes, and then they would forget everything that I said. They wouldn't understand their notes. So what I've done, first of all, and this happened right after COVID, is I went through and so we have a ceramics lab. So they just go through on week one of each project, of each new lab project. So that's actually this week. They get to watch either the ceramics lab video, the polymers lab video, or the glass lab video. So I kind of walk them through what that should look like, what's the science, what are the expectations, what are the open-ended questions that they could ask if they wanted to. So I have that. And then the next thing is I am walking them through. These are all really short videos. So I made, I think, 28 videos. They're all short, like 3 to 5 minutes max. There's nothing longer than that. So how would you use AI to solve open-ended lab projects? So I'm kind of trying to dovetail with some of the ABET requirements here. How to work on a team. So I decided to put them in teams of three, and I said, okay, here are what the team roles and responsibilities are. So I have a document for them because that was the biggest complaint. We're satisfying ABET criterion 5, which has them work on teams, and so they were always terrible at it. People wouldn't contribute. There'd be one person that was the bossy person that would just do everything, then get mad at everybody. So instead, I'm having them rotate across the three labs what their team responsibility, like their role will be. And then I have them kind of create a contract with each other and they have to share that with me. So I'm calling it an action plan. So during week one, they're gathering information, understanding the problem, and then they're creating a Gantt chart and saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. So on Monday of week two in the lab, we're going to show up into the lab. We're going to measure these components. We're going to process them a certain way, and we're going to characterize them. So it's just their way of getting a clear plan together for what they're going to do. When they're writing, I also think that it's easier for them if they have something exciting to write about. Otherwise, it's just a boring lab report for them and they don't have a lot of motivation. So I just, okay, how do you determine knowledge gaps? So in this, I show them how to use AI to say, okay, I have them plug in, here's what the professor is asking me to do, here's what the dumb professor is asking me to do. Just kidding. But um, so how would you use that? So here's this, like, what are some interesting knowledge gaps? So then they get to choose what they think would be interesting to solve and to write about in their lab report. How do you formulate a hypothesis? So I walk through all the steps of that. This helps them as they're writing their introduction section. How do you choose experiments based on your hypothesis? So this is as they're writing their action plan. How do you generate scientific questions? How do you outline your lab report? How do you use AI to strengthen the discussion? How do you present data effectively? So I always tell them no raw data because they always are like, oh, I'm so insecure about my data. I just need to make sure that I just share everything and let the professor draw his own conclusions, which I tell them that it's their job to draw their conclusions and walk me along with that. Inserting reference citations. So I showed them two methods. One is a clunky method where you just kind of write your lab report and you go to Google Scholar and just highlight like the MLA, for example, call it out with like in the comments, and then you can rearrange things as you need to in the very last minute. Then they can create their reference page, but I also show them how to use EndNote, their type while you write feature. So then I want them to have higher quality papers. So I show them how to use AI. I use Perplexity to peer review the paper. So I just say, okay, here you go. Do this, and here's how you can uh, have AI help you with that. I also have them do peer reviews. So I wanted them to see how to give constructive feedback, what that looks like. I always tell them it should be a checkbox. If somebody can put a checkbox by it, then that's an action item that is constructive. If it's not a checkbox, then it's not constructive. How do you receive constructive feedback? I find that that is actually one of the things that we deal with too. And then how do you use data to guide decisions and pivoting in your lab in like as you're doing a lab experiment. So this is the first thing. So really it's like as they're sitting down to write the different sections of their lab reports, they have this short little video of me talking about what they should be writing about, and then they can write that section. And so after the first two lab reports have now been submitted, and they're both significantly improved from what they were last year, the year before, 3 years ago. So I saw this gradual decline in the quality of what they were submitting. And so I don't know if this is helpful, but it's something like a method where I felt like I didn't have to compromise the expectations I had for the students. Instead, I was like, okay, I'm going to meet you where you are with whatever you've been doing. I'll assume you have a high school and writing 1010 knowledge, but maybe you don't know how to write scientifically. So that's been my goal, is to kind of help them with that. So transitioning into that, the second problem that I am trying to help address is the use of AI. And so I don't mind if they use AI to help them brainstorm and even write their lab reports, but I do call them out and say, hey, this sounds like AI wrote it. So when they write the lab reports, they're due on Sunday night. And so what I do is I let them send them to me so they send them to me by Thursday at noon. And then I go through and I just kind of give them, anybody who wants to send it, I'll give them feedback. So I can be one of their rounds of review. So they can use AI to review. I'm happy to review. The TAs are happy to review. And I ask them to, go ahead and work with two other students in class to do peer reviews. If they can go through all five of those, I mean, that's going to be significant. If they can, I guess, be humble and teachable, then they will have a much better lab report. And they have. The quality of their lab reports has improved significantly. So now, uh, piggybacking off of the whole AI thing, I have a lot of stuff in here about using AI. So how to use AI to solve open-ended projects. So in this video, I actually go through and I show them how to use Perplexity to use literature to say, okay, here's what the professor has asked us to do. It's open-ended. I need to create a design plan. I'm excited about this or whatever. So I help them construct what their prompt is going to look like, and then they can take the information that they get or not. So in this other tab right here, you see I don't have very many views, and that's okay. I have created 27 other videos. I kind of labeled them as modules so that way they could get a feel for, they could follow the progression if they wanted to. So, I mean, this one obviously has 0 views, but what it is I've decided since the students, I want them to use AI because it's a tool that I don't think we should shy away from. And so what I've done is I've created kind of like a bridge to, okay, assuming you know nothing about AI, to now using it to solve scientific problems, there is a bridge somewhere that needs to be filled. And so I kind of go through and just show them. Here are some ways that I do that. This one is like it mixes scientific and even creative writing. So in one of them, we found a dead mouse in our yard and my daughter was upset. So I was in an airport. We wrote a eulogy to the dead mouse. So I thought it would be fun to turn it into a poem. Then I modified it so it sounded like a rap by Lisa Left Eye Lopez in TLC in the song Waterfalls. So it did that. And then I changed it to I'm from Wellington, Utah. There's a lot of cowboys. So I thought it would be fun to make it sound like a cowboy that didn't graduate from high school. So I go through that example. It writes a really fun cowboy poem, but it shows them the iterative nature of AI and how you can finally land on what you're looking for, but it takes you kind of, walking it through step by step to modify the voice. So the voice was really nice. It didn't sound like AI by the time I was done. But anyway, the bottom line is two problems I was trying to solve. The first one was how do you how do I keep my expectations of the students and kind of bring them along with me so they can match those? And then the second one is how can I help them kind of just bridge AI? So I post all these videos. If you want, you're welcome to send them. A Plastic-Free Planet. I submitted a grant proposal once about that. But so that's what it named my YouTube channel. But so I do have these videos if you want to just kind of say, okay, here's a bridge, you can watch them. You don't have to, I'm not shamelessly plugging my videos. I'm just saying that um, I think that it's important to make sure that we meet the students where they are, not assume that I mean, we can ask them what they know, of course, but I think that with all of their heightened anxieties and everything, with everything in the world, going on in the world around them, I don't think we need to compromise what we're asking them to do. I just think that maybe we just need to put in a couple of, well, they call it scaffoldings. We need to kind of build a scaffold to help them, uh, just satisfy our expectations. So anyway, if you have any questions or want to brainstorm ideas, this is something I get excited about. So feel free to send me an email. We can have a chat about it. We can even have a group about it if you want sometime. But anyway, thanks for your time.